What's going on, everybody? Good morning, late morning now. Hope you guys are still doing well. Hope you guys liked my appearance on the Seahawks Forever show with Dan Viennes. If you didn't get to catch it live, the VOD should be up on his channel. If it's not up yet, it'll be up very soon, but good conversation over there. But I want to talk a little bit about something that happened yesterday morning. Something that didn't directly involve the Seahawks, but it has sparked conversations that involve the Seahawks. And if you've been on the internet for the last 24 hours as a Seahawks fan, you've probably seen this, and you've probably seen the resulting Seahawks adjacent conversation. But let's talk about it a little bit here. So, first of all, yesterday morning, the Denver Broncos finally woke up, finally remembered that they can improve their team for the 2026 season, I guess, because they had been very sleepy to start free agency, and they traded for Jalen Waddle, the Miami Dolphins wide receiver, who's been very good in his career, very dynamic player, very fun player. Now, Denver gave up a lot to get Waddle, first round pick, third round pick, fourth round pick, and they got Waddle and a fourth round pick back. So basically, I guess if you wanted to do the math, it would be like about the first round pick and then an early fourth if you wanted to try to iron out where the value actually is. It's a lot for a receiver that isn't elite. Like Jalen Waddle is not a top 10 receiver. I don't even really think he's a top 20 receiver, but he is good. And, just to talk about the trade for a second here, but this is not what we're here to talk about. I get it. Denver's close. Denver's very close, and they're very weak at receiver. So doing something like this, it makes sense to overpay a little bit if you have to. And at the end of the day, if you're being straight honest, I don't think there was a realistic scenario where the Broncos were going to win a Super Bowl with their current receiver room. They were not going to win a Super Bowl with Bo Nix handing the ball off to RJ Harvey and throwing the ball to Cortland Sutton and little Jordan Humphrey. So sometimes you have to go above and beyond. And I think they did. But the consolation is this is a bad draft. And this did more to help them win the Super Bowl right now than anything they could do in the draft. So that's that. But that's not really the part that the Seahawks care about. Both of these teams are in the AFC. Denver only becomes an issue for the Seahawks if they actually meet in the Super Bowl. And even in the best of circumstances, that's unlikely. That's hard. The odds of a Seahawks Broncos Super Bowl, no matter how good both teams are, is still not that high. So that's not what we're here to talk about. Let's talk about the Dolphins. So clearly, Miami is going into a full rebuild. Jalen Waddle was one of their best players left. They traded him for draft picks, I think correctly, but this is in tandem with all the other stuff they've done this offseason, cutting Tua and eating a ridiculous amount of dead money there. They traded, what was it, Fitzpatrick for basically nothing just to get rid of him. It's a rebuild. And I know they did sign Malik Willis this offseason at quarterback, but he's going to actually be very cheap compared to other veteran starters. That's just kind of a move to kick the tires, and he's a bridge. Right now, he's a bridge until he proves otherwise. So I don't think that changes the fact that this is a full-on rebuild. And you take a look at their roster right now, especially offensively, it's about as bad as it gets. They now have one of the worst receiver rooms in football. Malik Washington, Jalen Tolbert, and Tutu Atwell are their top three. Greg Dulcich is their tight end, the guy who couldn't latch on in Denver. They have a few good offensive linemen, Patrick Paul, Aaron Brewer, but for the most part, even Jonah Savai was so bad as a rookie. We don't know where we are with that right now. So, excuse me. They've got nothing except for one guy. And that's the guy we're going to talk about here because we've spent enough time talking about him in the past. But I think this needs to be revisited now because clearly Miami should be open to trading anybody that isn't basically early in their rookie contract. So De'Von Achane is going to be the subject of today's video because the Seahawks could really use a number one running back. Right now, they don't really have one. Even if you like Emmanuel Wilson, and I like him too, he's never proven that he can be a number one running back. And Achane certainly has. And if he is available for a trade, then Seattle's at least going to make some phone calls. No guarantee that it happens, obviously, but Seattle's going to be involved in the conversation. So let's talk about this for a second here. You saw a lot of tweets like this yesterday. Dolphins rebuilding. There's an increasing belief that Achane could be traded and the Seahawks could be involved. Trading for Achane will be expensive as the Seahawks would need to sign him to a lucrative extension. So that's the thing. If you trade for Achane, you not only have to give up whatever capital you have to give up to get him, but you also then have to turn around and pay him money. And I think that it would be hard to imagine Achane getting paid less than Ken Walker did. Although we should talk about that for a second here. Let's explore this. But De'Von Achane, let's start from the top. Some people would ask, why would you let Ken Walker go in free agency, sign a deal with another team, and then trade for Achane? I've seen some people say that. Why would you do those two things? Why not just re-sign Walker? You could have kept Walker for, let's call it 15 million a year. Let's say you beat the Chiefs by a little bit. Let's say you offer Walker 3 years, 45 million. You could have done that. Let's say in theory you're going to have to give Achane that same amount of money. Why would you do that? I think the main reason why is that Achane is better and younger than Walker. And some people don't agree with that. But to me, Achane's actually significantly better than Walker. I think he's a much better player. And in my mind, he would add dimensions to this offense that they have not had in quite some time. So Achane, Pro Bowler, made the Pro Bowl last year, 1,350 yards, added another almost 500 through the air. This is somebody who's caught 172 passes over his 3 years in the league. And that's with him not playing a ton as a rookie. This guy averaged almost 8 yards a carry on over 100 carries as a rookie, and last year averaged a league-leading 5.7 yards per carry despite getting a full running back one workload. And while he's doing that, he's also one of the best receiving backs in football. Over 1,000 receiving yards combined over the last 2 years. Over, what is this? Almost 150 catches. This is one of the most all-around great receivers from the backfield in football. Catches a high percentage, really, really efficient there. And he's also giving you elite efficiency from the running back spot as a pure runner. And last year was his big breakout year where he actually had a 1,000-yard season. But the thing to understand is that before this last season, it was clear that he was a very special player. Yeah, last year, it was a down year for him, and he still averaged 4.5 yards a carry. And the Miami Dolphins offensive line is not good. I know that Mike McDaniel was able to do some stuff to make it look good. I know that Mike McDaniel is a very, very bright mind. He's from that Shanahan tree, and that Shanahan tree is really good at making running backs look better than they are. But that's also kind of the other thing here. Achane is perfect for the Shanahan offense. He's got that speed and that burst to be excellent in this offense. To me, like I said, he is better than Walker. Maybe Walker, you could argue, is a better pure running back, but it's close and debatable. And at the end of the day, Achane is such a better receiver that I think it kind of blows the conversation out of the water, even if you want to play with that possibility. So, yeah, he's better. He's not even 25 yet, although let me see when his birthday is. Yeah, well, actually, he won't even turn 25 until we're about a month into the season. So he's younger than Walker. He's got less mileage on him than Walker. He's proven that he can hold up with a full workload, unlike Walker in a season. Like, check this out. He played 17 games in 2024. He played 16 games in 2025. The one game he missed was the final game of the season against the Patriots when Miami had been long eliminated. And I mean, I don't want to say they were tanking, but they were kind of tanking. Like, let's just call it what it is. He's not a fumbler like Walker. He doesn't fumble a lot, so you're not losing anything there. You're not taking a big risk there. This is a very dynamic player. Pro Football Focus, which we all know they love Walker. They also love Charbonnet, but they had him ranked number one in the NFL in overall running back grade. Number one, ahead of Walker, ahead of Charbonnet, and they love both those guys. So this is a really good player. Ken Walker, I think he's probably a top 10 running back in this league, but if he is, he's barely. Achane might be a top 3 running back in the league. So there's a notable difference here. So that's why you let Walker walk and then trade for Achane and give up a lot more than you would have than you get from the Walker walk, because you're getting probably what, a 5th round pick from that. That's why you do that, because he's better. So just to get that out of the way here. Now, the question is Schneider the kind of guy who doesn't want to pay any running back big money? Or is he the kind of guy who just didn't want to pay Ken Walker that money? Because to me, in this offense, especially when you're talking about a younger guy without a huge amount of miles, I don't hate the idea of giving a running back a ton of money, but it has to be the right running back. If you've got a guy like Achane, who is among the best in football, who is a perfect fit for your offense, then I'm a little bit more amenable to it. And I wonder if Schneider would be as well. Now, the money, that's the next part of it here, because first of all, what would you have to give up to get Achane? Remember, this is a bad draft, and you have the last pick in each of the first 3 rounds. You may have to give up your first round pick to get Achane. I'll go ahead and say that right now. That is a real possibility. Maybe you can package your second round pick with a couple other little things. Maybe. It depends on where Miami's at, how desperate they are to just get rid of some of these guys and rebuild. But you may have to give up your first round pick. Now, Achane's going to do a lot more to help you win the Super Bowl this year than anybody you can take at 32. I'm going to say that right now. Doesn't mean it's easy to give up a first round pick. There are still good guys you can get with that pick. I understand. Achane is a running back. That is a position that typically feels somewhat replaceable. I would say that Achane probably, you're not going to get another De'Von Achane in most situations. He's a unique talent and he's too good. But generally speaking, running back is a position where people, including myself, feel like you can get competent play without spending big resources. But let's think about this for a second. So because Achane is a better player than Walker, there's an assumption that his extension would be more than what Walker got. Walker got what, 14, let's call it 14 million a year from Kansas City. What if it's not? If you go to the Spotrac market value page for Achane right now, they have him getting extended for 3 years and under 37 million. That is 12.3 million per year. That is less than what Walker got. Now, I think there's a little bit of there's a little bit of an assumption here. If Walker got X, then Achane, being a better younger player, should get X plus more. Maybe it's not that simple. Because here's the thing. Achane still has 1 year left on his rookie deal. And the cap hit for that year, I mean, he's making good money in 2026, almost 6 million, well, over $6 million. But he's got that year left on his rookie deal. So if he gets extended now, this offseason, he's obligated to meet the team in the middle a little bit. So unlike Walker, who was an open free agent when he got that deal from Kansas City, Achane, with the year left on his rookie deal, is going to have to be a little bit more flexible in what he's asking for. So that brings your value down a little bit. And also, let's be real here, Ken Walker got paid that much money because, quite simply, he had the dominant playoff run. Let's be real here. Before that playoff run, and maybe you could sprinkle in a couple of the games at the end of the year where he was also really, really good, he probably would have gotten a $10 million a year. He might even still be back here in Seattle. If he didn't blow up in the postseason the way he did, there's no way he's getting 14, 15 million a year. Achane doesn't have that playoff run. He's played in one playoff game in his career, and he had less than, or actually exactly 30 yards. So, what if he's actually not as expensive as Walker? What if you could get him on an extension that is less per year than Ken Walker's? That's a pretty good trade-off. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think down below. That's what I'm looking at right now. And if it happens, I'm going to be pretty excited because, yeah, it's a lot to give up, but he's really good. And there are some pieces here that make you think it could really work. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. See you guys soon.